Hello and what is up guys, Rai here and welcome back to some more automation and BeamNG.Drive. Today we're building ourselves a Hypermiler car. For those of you guys who don't know what a Hypermiler is, basically we're going to get the highest fuel economy possible in automation with just stock bodies. We're not going to use any mod bodies today. We can use mod fixtures because that doesn't affect the fuel economy. In fact, it's probably going to make it worse in BeamNG. But we're going to use a stock body to give ourselves no advantage over anyone else. Another YouTuber by the name of Where's the Jump Button, you guys should check him out, link in the description. He did a Hypermiler as well, I think a few weeks back, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and he's got about 250 mpg, which is like 1 liter per 100 kilometer. It's very, very, very impressive mpgs. I can't recall what body he's using, but it's one of the newer bodies. I've gone through myself and tested pretty much every single body that is somewhat decent in automation to see which one can theoretically get me the best miles per gallon, and this one seems I say, to be the best one. Now I'm going to design this thing in a cyberpunk aesthetic, similar to, you know, Cyberpunk 2077, that new train wreck of a game that came out. I have played it, it's quite a bit of fun, but it's definitely very, very interesting to say the least. The top here, 2020 model year is what we're doing. We're using all 2020 tech. The rules are for this is stock body. There's no budget limit. There's no limits at all. There's just stock body. You can't use any mod bodies. You can't modify the game files. You can't cheat. You can quality spam as much as you want though, because this thing is just going to pretty much break automation as much as we can, I guess. So carbon fiber panel material. Again, there is no budget limit here. Monocoque chassis is the lightest. Carbon fiber chassis material. Rear mounted engine. It's going to be a rear engine sports economy car. It's going to be an economy car with a cyberpunk theme to it. Push rod front, McPherson struts in the rear, and plus 15 quality. You can see on the right it already tells us one or more quality settings are causing very high costs and engineering times. Consider lowering quality. Yeah, I don't think I will. Let's continue on to the engine section here and give ourselves a new engine. I think we're going to do a 3-cylinder. I've done testing with 3, 4, and 6-cylinder engines just to see what would be the theoretical best, because with a 6-cylinder you can get much higher thermal efficiency in the engine, but the engine itself, the thermal efficiency in the engine is not perfectly going to equate to fuel efficiency in the car. So of course we're going to go for a 5-valve, ALSI for the head material, magnesium for the block material. We could go 4-valve with VVL, but from all my testing, 5-valve with no VVL was actually better. We're going to go for a pretty small engine. I mean, you know, a fine size for a 3-cylinder. I want it to have, I think we'll go for like a 1 liter for now. Just a 1 liter. It's not going to have tons of power. It's going to be turbocharged, obviously. 1.1 is what we stuck with. Low friction cast, lightweight built steel, plus 15 there. VVT all cams. We're just going to, again, yoink that right up. And we're going to leave the cam profile to 40. Probably 10.5 to start for the compression. Not crazy high compression. We could probably tinker around with that a bit more, because I'm sure I didn't do the best engine tuning possible. Fuel economy preset. And just gonna go for the very best of everything here. Let's go 0 fuel mixture, 100 ignition timing, pretty high RPMs. We'll tune this all. We'll tune this all later. Smaller exhaust sounds fine, and no mufflers or cats, because yeah, it's pretty much a race car. The year's 2077. We don't need mufflers or cats. We're getting 250 mpg at least. That's what he's got in his video. So right now we got 43% thermal efficiency, which is pretty decent actually. That's like right about what I had before. We can go ahead and make the exhaust smaller for slightly higher. That's not going to do much though. We could lower the cam profile a bit. That's 43.8, 44, almost 44% efficiency, which is pretty impressive honestly. There's 44%, 44.1, 44.1. Okay. If we make the intercooler smaller as well, it's going to help out even more. Oh, yeah. So not tons of power. In fact, rather disappointing amounts of power. But that efficiency, 45% thermal efficiency, for a production car is pretty unheard of. But I think cars have gotten higher than that in the past. So a bigger compressor. And just a smaller turbine sounds like a reasonable way to get more MPG. And the intercooler is probably fine. It's a fine size. We can go less. Boost a little bit. It's pretty depressing power, only 77, 78 horsepower is not very much. So we have actually more octane to go through. I think this is even higher than my test build. So we're at 48% efficiency, 47% sorry, efficiency with this hunk of steel. We're gonna hop on to the next thing. We have 2 choices here. We have got this coupe and we've got this coupe. So one's taller, one's lower. The biggest difference is not really any actually. One's smooth, one's is square. I kind of like the chunkiness, but I kind of like the smoothness as well. We're going to go for smooth. As you can tell, the back end's really, really interesting. We're gonna do the morphing later. Plus 15 quality there. Rear-wheel drive, manual, 6 speed. You think they still have manuals in the year 2077? You know what? I'm sure they're still alive and well. Maybe this car was produced before that. I don't really know. Electric LSD because it doesn't add weight, but it's just fun to have. Hard long life tires, and just the smallest possible. So we want the smallest tire diameter possible and the largest rims possible. So we still want 85 width tires. Yes, 85 millimeter tires. It looks pretty bad. It'll look slightly better at the end once we actually design the car. Don't you worry, it's going to look better than it is. I think I'll make 2 versions though of this. One that's going to be a bit more focused on design, and one that's going to be just this. This is going to be straight up 100% just for MPG, probably no design at all. And I'll have it with an interior and a few things to make it look a little bit more like a car. Carbon ceramic, 1 pistons, just front and back. Look, that sounds totally reasonable for any economy car. Plus 15 there, fully clad. Plus 15. We might go cooling flaps, we might not. We'll see in a second. 1-seater, plus 15 on the interior because it's going to help us out. And no power steering. ESC is launch control. Heck, throw it in there. That's fine. Progressive springs, semi-active and passive. We're going to tune it for sport, and then lower down the sway bars to 0, because that actually saves weight. So right off the bat here, no tuning whatsoever. 653 pounds is the weight. This thing actually might crash in BeamNG, and if it does, I will be very sad, but we'll see what happens. So 650 pounds, 229 mpg without any gearing tuning at all. So if you do gearing tuning, even just lightly. Oh, look at those sweet, sweet mpgs go up. So there's 267, basically. We need less cooling airflow. That's going to help us. So 269, 69. And we want cooling flaps. No, see, it doesn't help in this case. We'll check the interior real quick. Sometimes 2 seats is actually lighter. Nope, slightly heavier. It's 1 pound heavier. That takes away from our MPG goal. There's a couple of things we're off by. Not a ton, though. Nope, so we want it in the sweet spot around 300 and what is it, 390? 390. That's a pretty impressive MPG so far. I'm sure we can beat it, though. I'm going to spend a ton of time tinkering on this thing, probably. My gosh. 269, 69.7. 0.6 is a pretty outstanding MPG, not going to lie. I think the basics are done. So 273 MPG is what we're starting with. We are going to get more. Okay. We can do that. That's a tiny bit better. It doesn't even register. That's how not much better it is. 273.6 is a fairly reasonable MPG, I want to say. Fairly reasonable. It's not the best. It's pretty good. I think what we're going to do now is design the car. In a short time lapse, design the car. I'll go over the design with you guys live. Then we're going to test this car out in BeamNG, and I want to see what it can do in BeamNG. So sit back, relax, guys, and I hope you enjoy. So we are starting the build, the designing part of our 2020 or 2077, I should say, Hypermiler Cyberpunk themed car. The front end is going to be sort of rudimentary. It's going to have this sort of almost a rectangular shape in the front end to house the headlights and some other things, of course, because we're going to have other things. It's not, you know, a normal car in the front. So I'm starting off just laying out a few things. We have 3 sort of segments: the middle, the left, and the right segment. One segment has just a grill. One of them just has the headlight housing for now, and one of them just has nothing, which is the middle one, just sort of plastic. So what I'm doing is sort of laying out the front end still, adding some glow stick headlights just in the front, and sort of tinkering with things here or there. The wheels are very small, but I do make them a bit bigger, and I'm going to slowly make them bigger as well, just a little bit to make them look a bit better. It won't be as good in BeamNG for MPG, but it's going to look a heck of a lot better. Sort of doing this front bumper system, making everything steel for now, changing the headlights a little bit more, tinkering here and there, adding some vents down below from the main headlight housing, and then some lines in the bottom front fascia, almost this bumper-ish kind of thing we have in the front. I've changed the color to yellow now, a bright yellow, which looks pretty good for a Cyberpunk car, I think. And I'm tinkering with the idea of changing the side color as well, adding a few details here or there, checking out in photo mode, adding some scoops in the front of the car, playing around with the wheels, and seeing if I can add some sort of wheel fender flares, some wheel arches, I guess is what this is. And I do end up making some pretty cool ones. Actually, I made up 2-tone ones, which looks really cool. It took a bit of practice to get them there, it took a little bit of time, but it ended up looking way better. Tinkering with the front end a bit more, adding a few details here or there. We have the 2-tone side skirts now, adding a few things to the front. Here they're adding the bumpers at the very bottom of the front end, and fixing about the intakes there as well. Toying with the idea of some fog lamps down below, but I end up getting rid of it for now. The interior, super simple, just using some pre-made interior bits with sort of an 80s themed sort of dash in the front as well, because this thing is like, you know, it's sort of a retro modern or ultra modern kind of thing. It's 2077 kind of thing with some plush sort of bench seats in the middle with a heads-up display kind of display thing I added near the front there, working the side intake, which is going to also double as the door handle area. Looking pretty cool, just tinkering with the photo mode. Changing the wheels here or there, adding the first neon badge. This is going to be a brand that I've designed cars for in the past, my Neon brand, which is a Chinese brand. I'm not too sure what the lore is here. I guess they survived and they end up making cheap cars in the future. I added some turn signals to the front now, adding a few more things to lay out the front design and now laying out the back, with again a similar rectangle shape to the back end with two squares in the top which are going to house some fans later on. The front bumper is being tweaked and tinkered with, as well as some sort of front lip. Tinkering with a few things in the back now, adding the fans to the back area. And then adding pretty much the basic shape for the taillights, having 4 bars across similar to the front, but we're going to have this sort of 8 rectangle pattern on each side taillights, sort of interesting. It's like a retro kind of design keyword. It looks quite good in a modern setting, I think. Adding this sort of roof element for a second there, and then tinkering with the neon badge, remaking the whole thing with cutting out the body itself, and then adding some glow stick behind there to make it glow and having a glow up emblem. Adding a turn signal on the side, but this thing is, the theme for this part was to have sort of a popping out turn signal so it can actually retract for no reason at all besides like its airflow, but it looks kind of cool for now, adding a ton of detail to that for no reason at all, but from afar it looks just the same as if it was up close, I guess. Now on the roof, adding a sort of roof box for now. We'll tinker with that a bit more later, adding a keypad to the side by the door. And I'm not too sure what this is on the roof, but I'm just sort of adding it here and there with some lines and some colors to make it look like it's some working gizmo, with some glow sticks behind that. Then tinkering at the back a bit more, adding a similar rear fascia as the front with a single outlet exhaust, and a few things here or there with everything we have, with a bit of a wing and stuff there. And then just tinkering with the final bumper and with the front end. And in front of us we have the 2077 Neon X1. So like I said, guys, in front of us is the Neon X1. Maybe it's the Project 1. I don't know. It's the Neon X1. It's the Neon 1. It is a very modern car for a very modern person. It's got some cyberthunk aesthetics to it. We're gonna go over the design real quick here. It's not really based off of any particular car from 2077. It's got a few aspects from cars here and there. And a few aspects from real-life cars, but nothing really. I sort of just started placing fixtures until I thought it looked kind of cool, and I think it turned out pretty decent. I'm not 100% happy with the bottom front fascia. It needs a bit more detail, but I love the top area. It looks pretty cool. I like this in the hood and this bejaggers in the... I'm not too sure. Oh gosh, it's glitched out there. Oh gosh, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. There's a steering wheel. It's like black leather, and it's very shiny. It'd probably blind you while you're driving, but that's okay. So we've got these... two headlights here. We got a circle and a rectangle. They give you light for when you're driving. We got the neon logo in sort of blue glowingness stuff when you're driving at night. We got some basic turn signals down there as well, and some more vents here. We got a vent here, no vent here, and then no vent there. So just one vent here. It is a rear engine, so we don't really need a lot of front vents. We got one turn signal up here that it's got some sort of rivets and divots in there. I kind of thought it looked kind of cool. It's a lot of effort for nothing at all, but it looks cool. The fender skirts look very sick. I love how they turned out. We have like a two-tone fender skirt kind of thing going on. The door handles are custom, which looks pretty cool, and a keypad down there as well. You can see the gauge cluster is like 1980s inspired, and you know, this is like a cheap, in quotations, car for a 2077 universe and whatnot. The back, it's much more. It's a bit more simple. I love the back layout. I wasn't sure what to do with the bottom. The rear fascias. We just have a little bit of a pattern at the bottom there, and nothing too much else. Like it's a cheap car. It doesn't need to be crazy fancy detail. I love the taillights, so I love this little exhaust little tip right there, little wing. We got some fans to cool down the turbocharged, insane 3-cylinder plutonium-powered engine. I'm not too sure what it's powered by. We got 2 seats, so the car is pretty much done. We're gonna go over a couple things. because I did do some changes, obviously, to make this car not look terrible with the tires and stuff in automation. So this one gets 257 miles per gallon, so a little bit less, still about 1 liter per 100 kilometers, so a little less than the 272.6, I think, is what we got before, but I still have that model saved. I'm going to export both of them to BeamNG.Drive, because this one's not perfect, but it looks way cooler and I love it, and we're going to see how both of them act in BeamNG, if they do at all. So it weighs 650 pounds, it might not work in Beam, and if it doesn't work in Beam, then I'll make it work in Beam. So what we're going to do is hop into BeamNG.Drive. We are going to test this thing, you know, for fuel economy, see what it can get for fuel economy in BeamNG, if it's different than automation, if it's better, if it's worse. We're also going to take it on a track, because 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds is pretty impressive. We do have bigger tires in this one with 135s, which is contributing to our MPG loss, but it's actually kind of a reasonable car now. So we'll hop into BeamNG. I'll see you guys there in just a sec. And finally, we are in BeamNG.Drive with the Neon X1. This is the design version. The taillights kind of exploded on us. I'm not too sure why, but that's okay. The headlights, they work. Taillights don't, but the headlights do work. So we are in the, I think this is the glowing map, BeamNG. What is this called? Just the glowing map? It is Neon Course, Glow City. So we're going to do one lap around this. I've done this a little bit. I've never done a video with this lap, I don't think ever, but I've done it before. I don't think I've ever really finished a lap, I don't think, but I've played on it before. So we're going to see if the Neon X1 can actually drive around a track pretty good. It's got very skinny tires, 135s front and rear, so it's not even staggered. I did retune the suspension a little bit less aggressive because before it had no sway bars, so it was terrible. So we're going to see what kind of lap this thing can do and see how it drives, and then we're going to hop into the open world and just see if we can get some good MPGs out of this thing. So let's start on the lap here. Let's do it in third person. We're going to use ESC fully on here. We'll launch it. Now, since my last video, they have updated tire physics and the turbo sounds a little bit. You can hear a bit of a turbo whistle. Sometimes. It's a little bit glitchy. This is a really difficult first corner. Going downhill is not this thing's forte. So lack of grip is so far an issue. I can definitely tell it's trying to escape me. Stay in second here. We're going to short shift everything. It seems like it's just going to thrive in short shifting. We're going to go a little bit slower in this corner. I don't want to crash. I want to get the lap. Let's do a full power here. Come on, there's a loop-to-loop. Oh gosh. I can't see, Oh god. I couldn't see anything. We're gonna go in first person. Come on, just full throttle. Can we do it this time? There we go, that was better. Stay in third. Drop down for a second, go to second. And around the corner, pretty quick. Keep full throttle down so you can hopefully maintain grip in the rear tires. Yep. Oh! Oh, is that close? Oh my. This thing is a handful. Definitely a sports car of the time. It actually handles pretty well. If we had larger tires, like proper size tires, it'd actually handle. I'm not sure where I am. We're falling now. We can't even set a proper lap. Oh, yeah, I think, what? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think driving is not this car's forte, especially how it's tuned with these tires especially. It's not a very good driver. We're going to hop in, just to another map, and just sort of see the proper driving dynamics of this car, and we'll compare it to the other vehicle as well. So now we're just in grid map. I just want to see, before we get the actual MPG out of this thing, I'm just going to see how it drives. We're going to turn our traction control off. You can toggle the traction control on or off. The car looks actually quite good, a bit of a iffy thing right there, but the car looks pretty good in Beam, all things considered. We're going to hop in. Bit of a wheel spin chirp there. Oh, it feels much faster here for some reason. We'll go for a top speed run, I guess, and just sort of see how it drives. Like, yeah, it definitely feels like it's going to kill me at any moment. I'm going to brake. Oh gosh. It does not like stopping. Here we turn. Nope. Nope. So yeah, it's got that snap over steer. It's basically a Porsche. You know, all things considered. Even if you're on, like, it has no traction at all. Let's take off traction control completely. Just take it off. It's got a fair bit of wheel spin. Can I do donuts? It can. It can. So we've got the fuel consumption on the top left, and now we need to get under 1 liter per 100 kilometer ideally. Let's just drive here. Let's see what we can do here. So hopefully this works. 4.1, not great. We're gonna go up to 100 kilometers an hour and just sort of cruise, I think. We're averaging a 1. Okay, looks like it's pretty much on par, actually, MPG-wise. If we're just cruising 100 kilometers an hour, we're gonna keep driving. We're gonna brake here. I'm gonna go to first and we'll cruise at first. So even cruising at 7,000 RPM, we're still getting 2 liters per 100 kilometers about. At about 100 kilometers an hour. We'll bang it off the rev limiter. If we just bang it off the rev limiter all the time. 2.8. 2.7. Oh my gosh. That is pretty ridiculous. We're gonna hop into the other car. It definitely handles way worse. It's super sketchy to drive already. It's wafting everywhere. So it seems to be around 1 when it's working. It doesn't like to go under point. It doesn't like to go under 1 for too much, to be honest. So it looks like to be about the same. 0.9, 1.9. So it's pretty very, very, very similar. So 0.9 or so liters per 100 kilometers an hour in BeamNG is a rather impressive figure. If we actually just keep driving here, we're at 98 and 5th. We go to the range is 2,600 kilometers. Oh my gosh, we're making no boost. So average is 1.5, which is not bad. We're gonna keep going for a few minutes, I think, maybe a minute or so. But yeah, this was the Cyberpunk car. A ton of fun to build. Took a long time to build this one. I'm gonna put a download link in the description. And where's the jump button if you're watching this? Well, it looks like you've been bested, so you gotta step up your game now. I beat your record. We're averaging 1.5, but in automation, 270 MPG seems like the current record. I mean, between us at least. I'm not sure if someone's beaten the record, but currently in the newest version of automation, that's what I could do. And you know, if you can do better, let me know in the comments down below, guys. What's your highest MPG you've gotten with stock bodies or with anything really? Just let me know down below. Join the Discord linked in the description. And leave a like, comment, subscribe. Hope you guys are having a fantastic holidays and stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, I guess. And as always, I'll see you next time.